This is Computer Architecture Study CS147 Lecture 1. Our topic would be we'll discuss a little bit on the what is a computer. We'll see as a definition. Also, we'll review basic of the instruction sets. Computer organization will start on that with the arithmetic and logic unit introduction to that part of the computer. So now let's review what is a computer. It's everywhere nowadays, right? And there are different avatar, if you want to say like that, of computer, and it comes in many forms and ways, like many surprising ways actually. Like for example, this one is a famous Google Glass, which is a glass they say, but it also has embedded computing system inside it. Uh, Another example is your smartwatch. If any one of you are using it, it has a little computer in it. And we have surprising places like refrigerator having computers. Uh, of course, the high-tech satellites, they have the all different sort of computers inside it. Playing gadget like iRobot and stuff like that. We have like application in the healthcare systems. They have different style and kind of computing systems as well as there. And computers is in the drone system. This is the image of that famous Amazon delivery system, drone based, which is not yet I think started in US, but they're working on it. And of course, we have seen this car, Google car, around the Bay Area. So it has a computing system and computer inside it. And of course, your smartphone is a computer itself. And then we have more traditional look of the computer, right? This is the desktop, and there's a laptop. Most of you have are known, and like 10-15 years back, this was like known as a computer. Everyone knows, okay, these are the computers. Not the other forms were very popular at that time. But anyway, all of these are a different form, different avatar of a computing system. And last but not the least, probably you don't see it much, but when you go into industry, you'll see more of it, may see more of it, which is server. Okay, so it's they stay in the big cold room. There are many of them. This is just one server. I won't say it's a one server. Technically, it's a many server racked on top of each other, but this is also a form of a computer. Now, then, what would be a definition of a computer then? By definition, a computer is a machine which can compute. So in this generic definition, all these avatars of computer, be it a Google car or a desktop computer or a smartwatch, anything like that, falls under that definition. Not only that, if we closely look into its organization inside any computing devices, we'll see many resemblance. Uh, all of them has some input devices in some form, like keyboard, mouse, touchpad, things like that, sensors, etc., etc. They have output devices like all the processing and data processing manipulation ultimately manifested as an output. Maybe it's on the screen printing something, maybe it's the car moving in a right direction, maybe it's a phone call receiving, etc., etc. So all of them has certain set of input devices, output devices, and also they possess some certain amount of memory devices which stores intermediate information between the steps of the information processing. And all this information processing takes place in a component is called CPU, or central processing unit. Okay, so any computer in the whole world, if you see, it can have very simplistic view with a central processing unit crunching information, processing information, the various inputs coming from its input device that can be of various type, but at the end of the day they are input devices, and it has some memory to store intermediate information, maybe temporarily, maybe permanently, that's a different story, but they have certain memory devices, and at the end of the day they produce certain action either on the monitors or as in the car moving around or showing you the time on the smart watch, etc., etc. So this is the common thing, okay, common thing as an organization perspective between all the computing system, and we'll focus on that instead of getting lost into this like hundred of different forms of computer, avatars of computer. We'll focus on its very simplistic view. For us, a computer will be a device which has a central processing unit associated with the memory devices, input devices, and output devices. In fact, if you open up a computer, modern computer, any of them, you'll see certain sub-component inside it, right? So in the previous slide, we are talking about the central processing unit. Now, if you open that up, you will see various subcomponent inside it. Maybe like some NIC or network interface card for network communication possibilities. There are maybe GPU, graphics processor unit. There is IO cards. IO card is mainly to control the IO devices communication. There may be some onboard memories like a RAM. There is memory interface card with all these various solid state memory to attach into the computer, and this whole central processing unit has certain ports through which they communicate with various devices. Like they have certain input ports to connect all the input devices, they have the memory or ID ports to connect to the external memory devices like a disk drive or solid state drive, something like that. They have the output ports to communicate with the output devices like monitor, for example. And they have USB port. USB stands for universal synchronous bars, and they are in almost every computer nowadays. Okay, they are very common, right? There are various revision of the USBs now. USB is 1.0, which is the original USB, then 2.0, then USB-C, and so on and so forth. But basic point is that USB port gives a generic port feature to a computer through which a various different type of devices can be attached to a computer. That device can be input device, that can be your output device, that can be an external memory devices, and so on and so forth. So USB as a port is a very special port which gives a generic way of connecting any kind of devices. Okay, so this is the little insight view of under which this CPU contains all these various subcomponent. Now, as in this class, we'll be mainly concentrating on this processor component, which is the generic processing element. Okay, so we'll study on that and we'll dig deeper inside this component mainly in this class. Anyway, so this guy is showing you a nice picture of various blocks and diagrams and subcomponents and stuff like that. But if you open up a box, it's a mess. Basically, it's a very kind of not so simplistic view of a computing system. As a computer science people, we should not be bothered about this. This is more fall into the computer engineering area, but this is just to give you a feel what it looks like when we talk about some processor connecting to some memory or ports, stuff like that. It's all on the motherboard. Okay, and these various hardware chips, buses, various components are just connected together. We won't be dealing with that, by the way, in the class. It is just for to give you an idea what's in the reality when we talk about various components. But point is that we can actually map this nice clean picture, different blocks, into certain components on this motherboard. That is the relation between the uh, clean pictures view and the real life motherboard.